it's all measurable. We need this building, this room for this space, this is what it is. We have this much area, this is the cost, and this is the kind of condition of the land, and you must build. So really there is no other scope but to say, like a machine or like a product, you create a product. But my view is slightly different because India is a very different place. India actually doesn't think that building is separate from life. Actually everything for us is connected to our body, our feelings, our psychology and our attitude to life. So for us, everything is related. So what happens is the moment you distinguish between the two, then the product becomes a process. The space is not really rigid. If the attitude is fluid, the space doesn't remain rigid. But if the attitude is rigid, even the fluid space becomes conditioned. So naming the space is very, very peculiar. For example, in the city of Ahmedabad, you are here tonight?
Yes.
So, if you are here tonight, then you should go in the evening to Manek Chowk. Manek Chowk is a place not very far from where you are staying. You are staying in this MG house.
Yeah. Today we took the walk, morning walk.
But you see, there is a place, there are places which change in the morning, afternoon, evening, late night and early morning. Same space. The Manek Chowk area has a lot of shops, jewelry and others. But at night, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, the shops close and it becomes a place for eating. If everybody comes around and there is a big shop, small little shops come. And then afternoon there are also clothing and others are sold. So the reason is that if you do this, then the society and the space become very interesting. There is a mix between the two. There are layers. There used to be, I always give an example, but it was long ago in India, that whenever we wrote with a fountain pen or with a liquid ink. And if you write the ink, it doesn't dry. So you have to have a paper. So it was an absorbent paper which we used to call blotting paper.
We can design.
So you make a little thing like this which goes like that.
Exactly.
So the blotting paper in the first day is white or whatever that color is. After 1 month you don't know what color it is.
Yes.
And to me that is the best example of life. It's all colors are absorbed, overlapped and transformed. But yet there is an identity there. What is that identity? So the identity is associated with the nature of sacredness. Sacred. What is precious?
Yes.
Now, nature of sacredness is that the kitchen is sacred in Indian culture. Leave aside the prayer room, but the kitchen is also very important. So that what happens is that everything it's the hearth. It is very ancient, it's like perhaps medieval times, this was the major place, a fireplace. Fireplace, in the areas earlier, when there was not this heating, etc., then, that was the place everybody gathered. And so there are places which become sacred, there are places which become multi-purpose, and there are places which can be modified. As a result, the house form is really done with two things. One is what is permanent and what is temporary, transitory. So permanent is only what you don't change, that means the neighbor wall, neighbor's buildings, So even that wall has storages. So you really see a contemporary house, a townhouse. The walls are there and in front is the glass. Here you must have seen in the old houses, all brick or stone, wooden things. So wooden things you can replace by glass and it will be a contemporary house. The other thing which is constant or long-lasting is climate and the natural resources. So for us, natural resources are very sacred. So all our rituals happen along the natural resources. So now if you then take a place which is, let's say I want to do some religious ceremony here, and this is ordinarily used. I will clean this up, And I will do the drawing there, diagram with white powder, and that is how we do during festivals.
The Rangoli?
But before that we wash it. We wash the place, then put the diagram, and then you start chanting mantras so that that whole thing gets influenced. And then if you have a water there, if you have flower there, if you have some image there, you evoke the images and they come and take place there. And the water becomes the Ganges water. It's all notion. So reality and notion are very different stories. So actually what it means is that what is in your mind is very important. So the reality is connected to thought, and thought is connected to mind, and mind is connected to our prejudices. So if you take that sequence out, then you are completely free.
So reality is connects to mind.
Reality is connected to thought, mind.
Mind.
Thought.
First is the mind. Because see, I will say that this is tea. But if I was thinking about coffee, I came from your culture and then I said, no, but I think this is coffee. Then I think it is like hypnotizing, self-hypnosis. So then it will become coffee for me. But if it is tea, or even if it is coffee and if I say tea, I may not like it. Who determines that? It's the mind which determines. So the thought, mind, then the action and the use all get connected. So what we do in architecture here is we think that this is the way to think about buildings. For example, you came into this building, it must be a very strange building for you, it's not an office. Next buildings are very expensive buildings. I built this building 35 years ago. And I asked one question, I said, what is the price of my life? I said, my price of life is very high. I must enjoy the place, knowing fully. I do a lot of urban design, I do big, large plans. So I know what will happen here. 30 years ago I had planned, I said there will be towers here. Incidentally, this is not a big building, other buildings are coming up much higher. But I said, what do I do here? I'll make this place which is a garden for me, then a garden and a place which is not defined. So, did you find this as an office?
No.
What was it like? Was it a studio? No. What was it?
Botanical garden. Like a garden, sculpture garden.
But when you came, did you walk on the big steps? Or you were brought like this?
We followed the path.
But you did not go up because you were in a line. So somebody who goes like this.
Yeah.
So here people come up, they come up and there is a door, but the door is closed. So they go back again and again come back, and then they slowly come into this way, and then the entrance looks like a non-entrance.
Yeah, they're not.
And the entrance lobby, there is no reception there. There is one person sitting there. It looks like a house. And then you enter and you go to the studio. So the whole idea was, I want a building to be experiential. So the issue is, what is sacred is memory. Because it is always connected to our associations. And then, therefore, memory comes out of experience. And if the experience is unexpected, you will remember it. And so in this office, it is only an experience. You came to this hall, I will take you quickly to the studio and you will see the building. So my purpose of architecture was in this particular building. Other buildings are looking like very normal architecture. But there are buildings which I design which are different. But this building particularly has no definite form. If somebody asks you, can you describe this building? You will have a difficulty to describe. You will talk about garden, yes. You will talk about some platform. You may talk about water. You may talk about like this. But they say, but what is it like? Can you draw me? Can you tell me? So you will have to talk about your journey of spaces and light. And I think this is where the difference is. So I started changing my work, almost 35 years ago. Before that I was doing buildings, but I was trying to look. We did a lot of townships, housing, institutions. I was involved in setting up the School of Architecture. Partly I was involved at NIT. So that was in 1960s, we were building it also. Even IIM was built that time. So I was involved with that project from the beginning. I invited Khan. I represented him and I represented the client. So, but this period, 30 years ago, I found out that actually the Indian, I like, not even Indian, let's leave aside Indian. The thing that one remembers is experience. And if that experience is possible, it can be highlighted by sitting in a static space, but which continuously changes. That means if the sunlight is coming, because the only thing which is moving is sun. So if the sunlight comes, not in this other places, so the sun moves, so the light changes. So you are in the same room, but you don't know, but you can notice from the shadow or the light or the intensity of the sun. Even you know when monsoon comes. So I thought the whole question is, how does one trap light?
How to trap light.
And then how to create the same space dynamic. Like I am Bangalore, there are pergolas and corridors. And if you go there, the light changes and the trees also grow, the gardens grow. So never it is the same.
So we are going there at 6:30 today.
So I am Ahmedabad.
Yeah.
No, I also design I am Bangalore, in which the whole idea was interaction, accidental gatherings, surprises, and evoking dialogues. Because that time the dialogue is not planned. So what is in your mind you talk, and therefore there is no rule. Actually, usually when you have a system, you almost imply a conclusion. But if it is an open-ended, then you don't know, you are actually enjoying that lot more. It's less tiring. It's more exciting. And I think this is what I do. So this is what we have here in the building. Yes, climate control, economic cost, function, that has to be there anyway. So social construct is gathering places. So you create a place where it can also be used for other purposes. My 2 daughters' weddings were here, so we use the platforms and we have parties here. So a lot of activities happen. So building should not close at night. It should be used in different ways, different times. Most of the time. It should never be an entity which is separate. It should be participatory. So if you go to the old city, you will find those little platforms and verandas and balconies.
Yeah.
So actually the balcony, the jharuka is the eyes. The courtyard inside is the heart because it connects to the sky.
So the
And-
jharokas are those little balconies outside.
In wood, wood or whatnot. So when you are on top, whatever you see there with jali and little windows, those are all jharuka. So that is what I found from Indian architecture. That Indian architecture has a lot of these little nuances which are connected to lifestyle and attitude to rediscovering yourself, in which then memories come. Our old temples are like that. All our temples have a long process and they are always added over time. Centuries are added. Not like cathedrals which are built. They are connected to the individual and the society. The ritual is one-to-one. The God is, you have as many people as many gods. It's not one God. So therefore there can be many shrines at different places and you go and pray. So actually it's a very interesting attitude to things. How does one relate oneself and discover what one wants to discover?
Dr. Doshi, once when we had that conversation at Indraben's home, you had taken that metaphor of the Indian thali.
Yes.
And the way the mind also weaves these different combinations. I'd like you to share a little bit on that.
I discovered that how come in India, in the industry, they make these saris, and it is the same sari which is made in million. But if you see a group of maybe 100 or 10 or 50 women, the sari is the same, but they don't look the same. The wearing is different, the way it is worn. So then I was beginning to find out that if there is a standardization, is it possible that it can become for multiple use in multiple ways? So then I found out in a village long back, a person was walking and he had the turban, which is also about 5-6 yards. But at night, he was folding it and he could be used for sleeping and covering himself. And then in the well, if you want water, you tie your little bucket or maybe a little tumbler and then it goes down. So I found, how many ways it can be used. So we all the time think about larger number, multiple uses and a choice to an individual. So the Indian thali, the difference is that if I go to a Western place and have a meal, I will get soup first, then the dish, second dish, third dish, then finally I might get the dessert. Now some of the things I may not like, but that's what I'll get. In Indian thali, where you make it for a couple of 100 people or 1,000 people or anything, you have everything, all the dishes are put in one dish. From dessert, from the main over, the first one, or the whatever you have, till the main dish, till the dessert is all around. Advantages are that you can mix your way and eat it. So that you eat sweet, sour, hot, salty, whatever you want.
The choice lies with us.
But it is all made in a large quantity. So there is a large manufacturing unit, but it is served in such a way that everybody gets a choice. And you satisfy yourself. So there is a main theme and there is a variation available, which is the same thing with Indian music. So Indian clothing, Indian music and this and house, they are all similar, giving you multiple choices in any time span. So this is where the difference is. So what I try to do, I did a lot of housing in Indore for slum people. So I mix them up with the upper income group houses. And those slum people really over time have built, but they became friends, they changed their culture. If you go there, you can't think, you may see the house simple, but the children are playing with the other people. And then they build, and when they build on their own from a plinth, the houses become even better. So we did some model houses and then they have built. There are 4,000 families like this. Actually there are 8,000 families. But 4,000 were the people who came from the road, the squatters. So we work in squatter settlement in which we think that the street is the key to life. So the street must become flexible until the critical space. A little cart can go in, which they will always respect. But the rest of the encroachments make life characteristic. And friendship comes up, social interaction becomes, sharing becomes very important. This is how I saw in the old poles of Ahmedabad and other places. So we do that, and then I found that is the same thing I should do in big buildings. So interactions is a key to the work.
How can we as educators, knowing the spaces are so sacred even for children, to explore and wonder and the curiosity and the light that adds different...
No, you see, one question is, first of all, I did my first school, which was done for the Sarabhais, and that was in 1958.
Was that the first Montessori school?
Yes.
So we were with, so that is the one.
Leena Sarabhai, so the mother. So
Yes.
we had a long discussion. She was the disciple of Madame Montessori. And her school, which was already was there was a series of huts. So I said, we will make this school without a corridor. So it is made like a village. So the reason is that students go from one class to the other class. So while they go, they have time to reflect. So it is not like this that when the bell is pressed, the other chap comes in and starts talking something else. You have time to reflect. You can go 5 minutes late or early, no, doesn't matter. But on the way you see trees, you see rain, you see birds, you see animals, or you may chat. Or you may get lost and come back late. So first thing is education a factory or a home? Is there a scope for a dialogue and interaction? Or it has to be productive in terms of saying, in this much time you should cram this much and deliver me this. I think this is the thing which is there. So, is it necessary to really make a building and then have corridors? Or if you just made them like a village so that you can choose to go where you want to go, which means, is the curriculum flexible? How many electives I have as an option? Because can we really tell somebody what he is interested tomorrow? But what we do is, in education, we take him here and we say, you will end here. Which is not correct. Education should be like the biodiverse garden. Yeah, so you have planted one seed, but maybe the other seeds come from the clouds and they happen to grow nearby, and then it becomes a different garden over time. And when that happens, the growth is better and they become real beings. So when I started the School of Architecture, there was no exams, there was no pass and fail. It was like saying you will take more time or you will take less time. Then teacher and student were not different. We were practicing architects, so we were talking about experiments. So we said, let's explore. So it was all exploration. End of 5 years, you will learn the same things. So you have a workshop and you have a place, and the studio can also become a workshop. So wherever you want to work, you work. There are some places where you do specific things. But the whole idea is, first is that education should not have any doors or no boundaries.
Excellent. This is a good pause for us to look at. And any comments? Because I'm very aware of his timing.
No, it's okay. We'll take some time.
I'm interested in ideas around access for people with special needs and the message a building gives for somebody who may not be able to climb stairs.
No, we have now written a thing for them. So we do provide now ramps.
You do?
Yeah, we do provide ramps in many places now. Even in other schools, wherever it is not there, we are adding ramps. So we are doing that, yes.
So a building could be designed to shape the behavior of the people in it and instruct them what to do, or it could be designed to invite them to do what they wish to do.
No, I think first purpose of education is to allow that person, individual, to rediscover himself or herself and eventually become what she or he likes. That is the purpose of education.
Yes, I was trying to contrast that with
I
a
know.
building that says, do this, do this, do this.
What you said, I am saying what should be that, I am just putting it the next part.
Good.
The rigid structure of 4 walls, fixed timing, fixed schedules, fixed exams, and then saying that whether you are pass or fail. I think, how can anybody be failure? That means I am already telling him that you can be a failure, the fellow will never grow. Somebody may take little more time, somebody may take less time. That's all. So this whole question of mind now comes back. We are already putting in their mind that you will do this, and you are compelled to do this whether you like or not. Better like it what I am saying. So there is a torture, psychic torture, not really physical. Deep inside the person feels, I don't like what could I. So the elective and the choices. So the curriculum, the courses have to be diverse, maybe little less, more, but then we can guide them to go where it is, which means that an institution is a network of institutions, not islands. So if you have networks of institutions, then you have no choice, you don't have the facility, you ask them to go there. Which means that the faculty grows, the students grow, the program grows, and nobody feels the fear of not survival. Very similar to a joint family, extended family.
Dr. Doshi, can you talk a little bit about the joint family and its present trend in the Indian context?
Well, present trend is actually like anywhere else in the world. It has become now one child, one couple, and then the worries, whether they should have siblings or not. I was born in a family which was an extended family. My grandfather had 3 daughters, 3 sons. They were married, but they were all staying near one street, but most of them, their children came to the house, so we were never less than 10 to 15 people, never. So death and the birth happened at the same time, and you knew what it is. So the transition of cycle, you understand unconsciously, subconsciously. Slowly it filters in you that life continuously changes. Life has ups and downs. Then there are emotional issues which are very, very critical. So I never saw my mother. Before, when I was about 8 months or so, she passed away. 8 or 10, I don't know. So I have never seen her. But I never felt the lack of it. Now I feel it, so from a different point of view. But otherwise there was you never know, the aunt is there, the other people are there. Even I never ate every day at the house. I could eat in the house of my aunt or others, here on this side, opposite side. So they would ask me, did you eat? I said, yes. So you learn a lot more there. There has to be transitional spaces. If the transitional spaces are not there, supposing we get up and immediately we have to go to work. Very often it happens, you get up late and then you just run. If you have to do it every day, how would you feel end of the day? But you get up, you take your own time, wash, you ponder, look something around, walk a street or go to the place and then go back and settle, you are more efficient in the end. So time is very important. I think, the new companies, I know in Brazil there is this Semblers company, which is having called 7-day weekend. Have you heard about it?
No. 7-day weekend? No.
In Brazil it is a very famous, he has written a book called 7-day weekend. Ricardo Sembler. And his company has always made profits 20% every year. There is no recession. That's what happened when I saw the book, years, but it is so. And he talked about it that you with a laptop or otherwise you are working all the time. So you are working 24 hours.
Yes.
So why not have the holiday when you need, when your family needs, or you want to go to a movie or you want to have a break, as long as you produce. So the whole question is, should we really have a weekend only on Saturdays? Suppose, suddenly your friend comes from somewhere and it's midweek. And then you want to meet, you say, no, sorry, I can't meet. But you say, well, I am going to go away, then what do you do? But suppose you were free. Can we imagine the time that you could use and go to a movie and spend time, and your life would be 20 times better than otherwise? Same thing with the school.
Yeah.
So school should be perpetually a holiday place.
You shall be quoted.
I started this school, so exams were never there. Now, maybe because of the school is 50-year-old now, it's a university. I started with 30 students. And from one discipline, we have something like 20 disciplines. There are not many doors, it's an open space, it's like a village, you go one place to the other and change.
Is that a school of design or?
It's a design, architecture school, architecture, planning, urban design, etc. But though the issue is, this is the way, because first is, should the teacher be distinctly different from the student? Does he really has to, he or she has to assume that they are more knowledgeable than the kids? Sometimes the kids can ask some simple question which was never asked. Then what? I have been teaching, for last 50 years. I taught elsewhere at the University of Pennsylvania for 18, 19 years.
Son went there.
So what I think, is that first question is, I don't think that we make education or anything we do, it is outside us. We never do what we would have loved to have it. How come this mindset? Why are we thinking that we are 20, 30, 40-year-old or 50-year-old and we are professors and we have a right to decide? But supposing that you said, I am still a child, would it not make a difference?
I'm wondering, in your design process, have you and do you include the children, the students in that
Yes.
design process? How do you do that?
You just
As opposed to adults?
No. You don't think that a person is adult or not. What you are saying. Supposing I said, look, today I came and I had no idea. I don't know why I come to the class. So can you tell me why you have come?
Well, why would you come here?
No, in the class, you are a teacher and I'm a teacher and I will ask students like this. I said, I have come here, but I don't know what to tell you. But tell me what you discovered this morning. And then you come toward the end about architecture. And not start with architecture lesson A, B, C, D.
Partly. But if you're designing a school, a particular school, a building.
Yes, I don't.
Do the
So
inhabitants-
there are 2-3 things which we do. Let's say that one is, I had asked them in the initial 1966, 65 or 68. I said, let's design an imaginary animal. So you design an animal, you decide and you find out what climate, what place, what food, what not. Do you know they came up with most unusual things? The first year is the brightest because you don't give them any idea. And they are at their best. And final year are the dullest. And they think they know everything. It's all frozen. Even today, I'm not denying, it is the same. Because finally you say, I have to do this because I am expecting the grant or I like that recognition and all that. Actually, education must be a place where it should be more rewarding, self-rewarding. More appreciative of the unknown. I mean, what do you do with all the libraries? Nowadays, students cut and paste. Everything is done like this. So anything you ask them, they will give you in 5 minutes the answer, cut and paste. But before that, they never knew the answers. It was quite, actually, enigma is very important. That doubt, that surprise. That feeling, that there is something else I must find.
What if someone says to you, I'm going to be devil's advocate for a minute. If someone says to you, the purpose of school is to create disciplined, fairly predictable adults who understand what they're supposed to do and when, and accept that.
Yes.
Now that's the opposite of what you're saying.
No. That is the school which we have now found after 50 years. Now our school is no different from what you are saying. That this school gives you this product for this particular purpose and you should be satisfied, okay? But only difference between our school and other school is that our school would still question, the student would still question. So they are 10-20% loose. They don't fit into the box. They can be a little shaky. But there are quite a few who come out and they want to start practice. They are frozen. So you will find maybe 5% who will be very different. For example, our school says that you should finish the course in 5 years. The final year is for a research work, thesis. In my time, some students took 10 years. They were all the time there sitting, loitering, but they became marvelous people in the end. And our students don't have to take the same profession. They have gone to theatre, they have gone to film, they have gone to photography, they have gone into market, they have become very good human beings, competent. But there are many who have, what you say is correct, they follow the commercial value and then they want a bungalow, they want to have a car, they want to have this. So this is 60-70%. But other schools have not even 5%. Even the teachers are not like this. This is the only difference. So I would not say that what I am saying is 100% possible, but I think if you see, let's say we are sitting here, just now I was feeling stuffy and I am sure you were feeling stuffy. That little cool air, a crack in the building or a window slightly open, I think suddenly the breeze comes and you feel very different. That's all you can do in life. That little change, like the feather, you put somebody, and put the feather on your face and the kind of tingling that you get, if you can do that much once in a while, that is good enough. That's where that sacredness comes, that gentleness.
Professor, may I be a little bit provocative in some question, with all respect for your beautiful building. When you arrive in the city, we have seen, I've lived 8 years in Japan. I'm interested in architecture. Honestly, being in India, I've visited this beautiful old part of Ahmedabad. But right now, what I see is very similar to China, where I've been living also. It's honestly junk architecture everywhere. I don't know if anybody can call it architecture.
Agreed.
So, what people like you that like soft consciousness, or I don't know, who have spent your life also in this domain and with your wideness, why is it so that there is not even in what I can find in China that I don't find here, is not even trial to make beautiful things in between, or I don't know. Honestly, it's
No, see what you are saying, I also raised this question with my colleagues, my partners, and one feels depressed and one feels almost saddened that if this is what is going to go on, then nothing worth living. But then, why it has happened is that joy and sacredness have slowly disappearing from our dialogue or our gestures or anything. For example, in Japan, if there is a tea ceremony, that tea ceremony which takes 1 hour, but you go there and you come back and you are not enlightened, but you are lightened. You have become light. If somebody can inject that somewhere, you find 5% change. You don't expect more, because what has happened is money. On one side, economic weakness, poverty. Other side, very large exposure to the global world. The notion of values and aspirations on the opposite ends. Because today we live to enjoy physically. Nobody talks about the spiritual or psychological enjoyment or joy. Everybody wants to say, I'm earning so much in this much time. So time is money. So what has happened is time is money has become a normal thing. So what you produce, if it can be sold, what does it matter whether it is good or not? So you make junk, you still make money. And everybody says, this is like this. So they want to build Shanghai here, they want to build China, they want to build New York. So they want to build in Bombay and other places big glass towers, which has nothing to do with us. Climatically, culturally, socially, economically, there is no question, we can do other ways. But that is not happening. Because there is an image which comes from the media. And media says this is what is good. So continuously they talk about this. That if you have a car, why don't you have a bigger car and a better car? If you have a life, why don't you travel and see things? You need money. So everything is converted into idea that, first of all, we never ask this question, what are my needs? If we are in the land of Gandhiji, he had no possessions. So we talk about him, but we have never understood the man. So what do? I mean, here is a living example in this city, that the person takes away his last cloth and he only has a loincloth, little beautifully dressed. The best fashion design you could see. But he lived so frugally and it was all in itself. Because you have to become you have to first find out, so where is the belief? Belief has to come from primary school. That life is not just working, or earning, collecting money or material wealth. I think beside material wealth, there is an intangible spiritual wealth. But since it is not measurable, what do? So there are no museums, there are no music concerts, there are no songs, there are no gatherings which talk about or give you insight of other aspects of life. If that is not there, it is not going to happen. Everybody here, there are so many people who come to the office and work and go away and you find sad, they have no idea.
We have time for just one last question.
When you said that the street is the key to life, the street is the key to life.
Yes, because, yes, go ahead.
I found this here, like, when I came here, I was so enchanted with what's going on the street. I couldn't take my eyes from that. All the time. Took a lot of pictures. And the streets here seem to me very different from our western streets.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of life going on, lots of difference, lots of people. And I thought that just like as you
Yes,
told that
yes.
if I look at the streets all the time, then I understand more about India
Yes.
and all this. And I don't know what we can do with our streets.
Well,
The
but I tell you,
Western-
1 minute, if you go to now Delhi and other place, there are no streets. We have big malls, we have big buildings, everything else, there is no street, there is no bargaining, there is no curiosity. You cannot get lost, you cannot look at things and reject and go somewhere else. You buy a product. You don't bargain, you don't talk. See, street is talking, street is gestures. Street is to sit and talk and discover.
I've heard this from Peñalosa, from Bogota. Have you heard about him, Peñalosa? He was the major from Bogota some years ago, and he said that in order to, Bogota was terrible.
You are from Colombia?
No,
Yeah, she's from
no, I'm
Brazil.
from Brazil. But I'm from Brazil, but he came to our town and we met him. And he said that the way to rebuild our cities is rebuild the street life, just like you said. And he in Bogota, he proposed this to make people, to return the streets to the people, like making cafes and places that they can walk in, and gardens and all this.
No, there is another notion, time is money. Big change, time is money. I cannot afford to get lost on the street. Even if I see you as a friend, I'll say hello and I'll move. I will not wait and ask you, I have no time.
Yes.
This is the other thing that has happened. Time has become money. And with money you can travel.